Hey there, it's Leona. Welcome to Zen Mindfulness Shodo. Today, we're gonna practice Shodo meditation while focusing on the Hiragana character for na. So, let's begin a beautiful journey together. When you write a character, imagine a square about the size of the character that you are gonna write like this. First, I'm gonna write it. Then I'm gonna explain the points and tips for writing the character beautifully in detail. Now, I will explain in detail. The first stroke starts from a point, a bit lower than, and to the left of, the center point of the top left square. This line, to put it in extreme terms, is a line that curves slightly downward, but only a little. It moves upward to the right, while curving until the middle vertical line. After that, you move the pen upward to the left with this kind of motion. The second stroke starts from a point, a bit higher than the center point of the top left square, and the left side of the middle vertical line. The angle is about 60 degrees, passing through the middle of the first stroke. To put it in extreme terms, it's a line that curves slightly to the left. It moves downward to the left, while curving to the left. As for how far it goes, it comes down to a point directly below the starting point of the first stroke. If it goes lower than that, and to the left of the starting point of the first stroke, the second stroke will appear a bit too long compared to the first stroke. So, I think it's good to use this area as a guide when writing. You can write this line with the same pen pressure and thickness from the starting point to the ending point. However, if you want to express the unique curved beauty of hiragana more skillfully, it looks more beautiful if you write like this. Apply less pressure at the starting point and gradually increase the thickness of the line as you move towards the ending point. This method gives a softer appearance. Now, from the ending point of the second stroke, move the pen upward to the right with this kind of motion. The third stroke starts from a position slightly lower than the ending point of the first stroke. This line curves upward like this. The angle is about 30 to 45 degrees. If it becomes about 60 degrees like this, and the angle becomes too steep, it will be out of balance with the first and second strokes. To make it look more open, it looks better if you write this line as if it's spreading out like this. However, if you lay it down horizontally to this extent, almost like a middle horizontal line, it will look unbalanced in its own way. So, I think it's best to aim for an angle of about 30 to 45 degrees. While curving upward, it moves downward to the right. As for how far it goes, it's to a position where the spaces on the left and right of the square box appear about the same. In other words, it moves to a point where the space to the right of the right edge of this stroke, and the space to the left of the starting point of the first stroke, look about the same size. And for this line too, it looks more beautiful and better expresses the unique curved beauty of hiragana if you write it so that it gradually thickens as you move the pen downward. At the ending point, you now check towards the bottom left, heading towards the starting point of the fourth stroke. Continue moving the pen in the direction of the check like this. And then, the fourth stroke starts at about the height of the middle horizontal line and the right side of the middle vertical line. This line, although it's only a slight difference, is, to put it in extreme terms, an S-shaped curve that moves vertically downward, parallel to the middle vertical line. As for how far down you should draw it, It's to a position where the spaces above and below in this square box look about the same size. In other words, if you can move the pen downward to a position where the space of this part below the lowest point is about the same as the space above the starting point of the second stroke. The character will be centered in the square box, resulting in a well-balanced and beautiful appearance. For this line, if the S-shaped curve is difficult, you can move the pen downward while curving slightly to the right like this. If you want to express a bit more flexibility and softness that are unique to Hiragana characters, you can move the pen with a slight S-shaped curve like this. When you've moved to this position, move the pen upward to the left at about a 45-degree angle. When you reach about the same height as the ending point of the second stroke, curve to the right. Then move to the bottom right at a general angle. At this time, although it's only slight, to put it in extreme terms, you move the pen downward to the right while curving upward like this. As for how far it goes, it's until the vertical line part comes right to the middle. So, if you move until this length and this length are about the same, the entire character will look well balanced and beautiful. Regarding this curve part, if you curve it like this, it will look like a rounded character. It looks cute, but it gives a somewhat childish impression. If you intentionally want to write it this way, please feel free to do so. However, if you want to write this character that looks more like this, it's better to make the loop formed by the intersection of these lines more triangular like this, rather than completely round. This will give the impression of a more mature-looking character. If you make the turns too angular and sharp like this, it won't properly express the characteristic roundness of Hiragana. When turning, aim for a level of roundness somewhere in between. Not too sharp and angular, but also not too perfectly round. If you can turn with a moderately rounded line that forms a somewhat triangular shape, I think the entire character will look more beautiful. Regarding this line after turning here, let me explain it by writing on this side. Instead of writing so that this vertical line comes right in the middle, in this case, the part to the right of the vertical line is shorter than the left side. In this example, the right part is longer compared to the left part of the vertical line. If you write like this, the overall balance of the character doesn't look good. Therefore, I recommend moving downward to the right until the vertical line comes to about the middle position. Why don't you try practicing while keeping these points and tips in mind? The key points for writing Hiragana characters, as explained in the video, are concisely summarized in this book in a similar manner. The book allows you 3 pages to practice each character. It can be purchased on Amazon. See the link in the description. I'm gonna practice 1 page of this workbook this time, but you're welcome to practice as much as you want. If you're practicing with a pen, I recommend that you place a few pieces of paper under the page that you're writing on, so that the ink doesn't bleed onto the page under it. Alright, let's get started.